Thank you, guys. I'm glad you made it here. Cross-border is an interesting topic, and that's something that will definitely grow over the next couple of years. Still, it's a very challenging topic because most of the e-commerces, as you may know, are selling mostly domestically. There are a few markets like UK or US where the cross-border is bigger. But there's still a lot to be done, and it's still a very challenging topic for a lot of retailers. So today I would like to give you some insight on certain tips with a special focus on Poland, because everybody is talking about China and so on. But I wanted to also draw your attention to neighboring countries, because it's also a market that might be of your interest. It's easier to be tackled, and hopefully it can be some gains for yourself. Before I start, I believe a lot of you know Robert Lewandowski. He was actually here on Saturday playing against Hertha, but I didn't want to speak about football and Robert Lewandowski, but the question is whether some of you know that he's also investing in e-commerce. A few years ago, he invested in a few e-commerces in Poland, ranging from various sectors. So he's one of the owners of e-commerce platform like Shoplo, mobile apps for garage sales, etc., etc. So he's a well-known football player from Poland, but playing here in Germany. But he's also investing in e-commerces in Poland. Unfortunately, I'm not a football player. I used to play when I was a kid, like everyone. But fortunately or unfortunately, over the last 10 years, I've been involved in e-commerce and postal sector, working in the UK, and then for the last 8 years in Poland. I started working in InPost in 2008 and played various roles. And right now I'm responsible for sales and developing new products all over the world. For those that do not know InPost, we are a private postal operator based in Poland, but our operations are bigger than just Poland. In Poland, we offer postal services, courier services, and delivery to parcel lockers. So it's an equivalent of Packstation here in Germany. In Germany, I believe there are over 2,500 Packstations. We have already 1,800 in Poland, and over 4,500 globally on 5 different continents, ranging from Canada up to Australia. And when Marta was presenting here, she mentioned that cross-border is an important factor, and actually it is. This is a nice study that I saw a few weeks ago in London, which states that right now there are over 300 million e-shoppers buying cross-border. It's already a pretty significant number. But if you look at 2020 data, the narrow between domestic and cross-border sale will disappear, and there will be close to 1 billion e-shoppers globally buying from different countries. So this just shows where the market will follow, and this is something where e-commerces should be drawing their attention, because as Marta said, there's no borders. Right now you can buy from everywhere. Question is whether it's feasible or not to buy it. But actually, more and more customers from abroad would be interested to buy from other countries. And as you can see, the gap will grow. I mean, the share of cross-border will grow. So that's something that we all should look afterwards. But it's not so easy to enter various markets, and there are a lot of challenges, and the question is how to do it. In my opinion, looking at various companies and speaking to them, be very careful not to enter too many markets in one go, because that might be very painful. So really choose carefully. I mean, I didn't place it here, but a few weeks ago, ASOS, some of you probably know the company, decided to leave China and their localized website, and over just 2 years they lost 18 million pounds. And then shutting it down, it will cost them another 10 million pounds, and they would start shipping again from their global ASOS.com website. So what I wanted to draw attention here is that maybe not to go to too many big markets abroad because they might be very challenging for you to tackle, but try to focus on the European markets because it's still a very big market and there are less hurdles on the way. There's no customs clearance requirements, delivery times are shorter, so that should be also quite interesting for you. That chart on the right-hand side presents few nice tips that are important to look afterwards in various segments. So in terms of logistics, locations, and marketing, it's a step-by-step approach that is recommended, and basically what it says is that when in terms of logistics, it's probably better to start using international courier companies based in here or special consolidator that can give you a good price when you start. Once you start selling it with more volumes and so on, it's a good point to start looking into various localized services like local return address, local domestic services, etc. The same applies with localization. Initially, many companies has got their own domestic websites. Later on, they can start having English, which is a well-known language to all of us. Then companies start having localized checkout options, payment options, and so on. And then gradually start having the whole content in the local language. But that's a painful process, and really try to think carefully when entering those. And there's a lot of agencies, Chamber of Commerce, and so on that are willing to help you to understand the market. I just brought a small report that was published in the UK, and it's designed for the UK retailers, but it gives quite a significant piece of information. It's called a Nation of Shopkeepers, and over the next 30 pages or so, it's a nice tips for all of you that are thinking to go abroad, where you can look into those and then try to find good tips in various segments like taxes, returns, logistics, payment, and so on. So if you are really interested in those, I would recommend to download it and learn a little bit more about it. And also when entering the various marketplaces, think about entering abroad, think about marketplaces, because this is the most very popular websites on various markets where you can have pretty good coverage with less marketing money, and those websites already have a traffic on the website, and it will allow you to start selling there. I'm representing courier company, and unfortunately, shipping options are among main reasons why customers are not buying and they are afraid to buy from abroad, because they consider that delivery options are too expensive, they're not good flexible return options, and there's not enough tracking options. So this is something that our industry has to look afterwards, but also when you are going abroad, think of those areas that are important for end customers that are looking afterwards. And for those who are based in Germany and they have their own operations, Poland is just 6-10-hour drive from your depot, and you can have delivery within 2 or 3 days time and to be really competitive on the market. And on the next slides, I would like to give you a small spotlight on Poland and show differences between Germany and Poland, so it can give you a better idea on the market that is based as a neighboring country. Sorry. So, small comparison between Germany and Poland. Poland is a country of 38 million inhabitants, out of which about 10 million are active e-shoppers. And e-commerce turnover right now is 10 times smaller than here in Germany. Obviously, Germany is the second largest e-commerce market in Europe after the UK. But Polish e-commerce is growing significantly, and it's said that in in 4 years' time, the market share of e-commerce in Poland will double to about 13 billion euro. Average spending per e-shopper is around 600 euro, and it's still growing. It's smaller than here in Germany. Nevertheless, as I said, it's growing. There are some differences between the markets, and something that I'm not an expert, but I would like to draw your attention to payment options in Poland. Very popular online banking systems. And there are, I believe that upstairs there are a few representatives from Poland that can, again, present you a little bit more of those options. Because the Poles get used to buying and paying online through the banking systems. So when you decide to go and start actively selling in Poland, that's something that you should be aware of. Still very popular is cash-based transactions. People are buying when actually receiving the goods, so that's still something that you should be aware of. Popular delivery methods, obviously courier home delivery is the most popular option with over 60% stated from different polls. Post is obviously very popular, but something that we've been developing over the last few years are the concept of pack station, parcel lockers. And right now we have already over 11,000 e-shops working with us, and a lot of customers using that delivery option. So when considering it, we would be more than happy to work with you guys and start offering that delivery option as well. In terms of Poles buying abroad, this is not so popular yet. Right now only 13% of Poles are declaring to buy something abroad. But a good thing is that when asked, Poles are willing to buy from German e-shops, and over 30% of those declared that they are willing to buy from e-shops here in Germany. In terms of various barriers there are that you should be aware of, are obviously the site in my own country is offering all the goods, which is typical to all the markets, but you should be really looking into the cost side of it, in terms of the products, in terms of delivery option, in terms of the return services. So this is something that should be taken into account. In terms of Poles and what are the drivers behind the decisions, obviously price is very important. Over 50% of Poles are declaring that price plays a significant role, as well as delivery option, low delivery cost. So something that I could recommend, but that would need to be taken into account within your analysis, is offering free delivery option and free returns. And looking into examples of Zalando that enter Poland, looking into various other companies that are actively growing, like Decathlon and others, free delivery option definitely plays an important role, and customers are then more willing to buy from that site compared to another one. And there are some margins in terms of the products, like fashion on average has got 25% of margin on the product, similar with some present and accessories. Sports and clothes on average is also about 20% margin on products. So taking into account all of those, it might be worth considering offering free returns and free delivery. Most popular product categories in Poland are clothes and accessories. Then it's followed by books, CDs, and also electronics and appliances are quite popular in Poland as well. And how to market? How companies are marketing in Poland? Online catalogs was mentioned as the first one, but that's something that was quite interesting for me, because when I was speaking to various companies, they are not so popular as such. I mean, there are different listings that you can place your company, but actually, because majority of e-commerces in Poland are pure online players, they usually advertise online. Only the big companies can afford to do omni-channel marketing in offline and so on. In terms of the ads engines, Google is #1 by far. So most companies are, when doing SEM and SEO, they are using Google. In terms of social media, Facebook is #1. There's a Polish equivalent that the role is decreasing lately, but it's still quite popular. It's called Nasza Klasa. In terms of other means of advertising, in Poland we have two big comparison sites. One is Ceneo, that has got about 40 million hits, visits per month, and then smaller Skąpiec with about 8.5 million visits per month. And then something for you to mention is present on auction sites in Poland. Allegro is the largest marketplace in Poland with about 50% of total e-commerce. So a lot of Poles are buying there, and 50% is pretty significant numbers. So when planning your expansion, that's something that you should also be looking afterwards. And then just to summarize, because time is running, small 5 steps for you to consider. It's a little bit more about the market specifics. There's a Polish e-commerce agency specialized in e-commerce that has got more information. There are a lot of information available on the market in terms of various segments, as well as you can speak to local partners that are present above and also on the Polish market that will be willing to help you and give you more information. Something for you to consider is also analyze other brands that are based in Germany and enter the market, but also the local leaders in your categories, how they market, what they are doing, etc. I mean, as I said, above there are plenty of Polish companies that will be probably willing to give you more information about the market, as well as, in my opinion, for you to consider Allegro. I mean, the first step to enter the market with relatively limited marketing, you can enter there, have a proper listing, and see whether there's some traction, and then start thinking about expanding, having your own local website, etc. And really analyze carefully offering free delivery and free returns. I remember when speaking to a German company that entered Polish market 3 years ago, they offered a high delivery cost, and they were not very successful. For customers buying domestically, they do not really matter whether they're buying from abroad or from domestic. It's a good offering and also relatively good delivery cost. So if you can afford to offer free delivery for returns, if you have proper margins on your products, that's something for you to consider. And then how InPost and myself can help. Obviously, we are more than happy to provide you with more answers about the market. We can offer you distribution services to Poland, but also to other countries like Czech Republic, Slovakia. We are also present in the UK, France, and Italy. So we would be more than happy to speak to you and potentially find some cooperation. We already have experience with working with over 10,000 e-shops in Poland. And we are not just a distribution company. We've been focusing a lot, working together with e-shops to offer some value-added services, marketing services. We have a database of 500,000 users that we can distribute. We are doing a lot of joint activities with e-shops, cross-selling activities between different companies that are not competing against each other. So a lot of areas of cooperation. So that's a big, I start with football, I will finish with football, and I hope we can have a win-win. And if you have more questions, I'm more than happy to answer them now or after the presentation. Thank you.
So Marcin, maybe I will ask a question. How do you think is Polish market difficult for foreign companies to enter in comparison to other markets in Europe? Is it difficult or relatively easy?
I mean, it's not easy, definitely. Each market is different when you start, if you want to start selling abroad. But in my opinion, there's a lot of areas that you can succeed. I mean, there's less competition. Mostly Polish e-commerces are smaller, so they cannot afford to have high marketing budgets, etc. And the competition in Western Europe, for instance, is bigger. So looking into example of Western brands that enter Poland, within year or two, they were able to be really on top of the market. So obviously there are challenges, but I believe that because of the fact that we are neighboring countries and the delivery times can be shortened, and with a proper marketing and so on, I believe that there's a room for success here.
Anybody? So I would love to ask one more question. If you dared to predict the future of Polish e-commerce, could you tell us what kind of trends can we watch right now, and what will happen in 5 years with Polish e-commerce?
I mean, Polish market is definitely growing, and it's taking the good examples of other more developed markets like Germany or UK. How it will develop? I think there will be more and more big organizations from other countries, traditional retailers that are starting to sell also online. I mean, and like examples of Zara, Inditex, I mean, Decathlon, etc. They're just few examples of companies that start pushing there, and then they are really strong in e-commerce. There will be some changes in terms of delivery options. I mean, apart from delivery to lockers, there are some other solutions. The traditional pick-up drop-off points. A lot of companies are developing this one as well. I'm looking at Adam, and Adam just recently from Skynet start offering same-day services in the large markets. So there will be, I mean, if I can predict, I mean, nothing significant will change. I think there will be more and more brands from abroad that will start offering here. And I know, speaking to various partners, that they are already entering Poland, a lot of brands from UK. So, yeah.
So, thank you for great insights and great tips.